Oh my goodness, at long last, for the first time in 2+ weeks, I am back live on this YouTube channel, and I have one thing to thank: the Buffalo Plague. I'm telling you right now, the Buffalo Plague set me back weeks, if not months. I appreciate your patience. There has not been much content whatsoever on this channel throughout the last couple weeks, and I literally have been bedridden since returning from Buffalo and the playoff trip. So with that, I appreciate you guys for being here. Today's live stream is brought to you by this week's accommodation. It's the French Market Inn, a part of the Valentino Hotel Group in the heart of the French Quarter in downtown New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm here with my guys, Jake Asmin and Cole Thompson. We're here sharing a table at Radio Row, making our way towards Super Bowl 59, of course, between the Chiefs and the Eagles, which will take place at Caesars Superdome coming up on Sunday. Thank you guys for being here. On your way in, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when I'm dropping my daily live content. I want to discuss a few things. First of all, would love to hear from you guys now that the offseason is officially here. The guest lines, the access link to the guest line is in the show notes. So if you guys want to pop on, share a thought with me as we gear up for free agency and other things that are looming in the coming weeks, like the combine, the draft down the line, please do so. I wanted to talk about Cooper Kupp because as he tweeted out within the last 24 hours or so, it looks like his time is coming to an end as a member of the Los Angeles Rams. Do I think that this is feasible for the Ravens? Yes. Do I think it makes a whole lot of sense? I've seen more sensical ideas and rumors floating around on the internet in recent times. That said, I think this is a player that would immediately upgrade the Ravens wide receiver room, immediately bolster it, and obviously bring a veteran savvy as a former Super Bowl champion, a former Super Bowl MVP, and somebody who had a downright historic 2021 season. It would bring that, all that and more, but it would also bring some uncertainty because availability has not been a calling card of Cooper Kupp's in recent years, and that is something that deserves to be mentioned as well as you take a look at this big picture. Cooper tweeted out, "I was informed that the team, meaning the LA Rams, will be seeking a trade immediately and will be working with me and my family to find the right place to continue competing for championships. I don't agree with the decision and always believed it was going to begin and end in LA. Still, if there's one thing that I have learned over the years, there are so many things that are out of your control, but it's how you respond to these things that you will look back on and remember. I've taken so much pride in playing alongside my teammates for the LA community, so thank you for embracing my family and making this such a special place for us. 2024 began with one of the best training camps of my career. Preparations start now for 2025. Highly motivated, as healthy as ever." You know, you got to slip that in there. We'll get to just how many games he's missed in recent years. "And looking forward to playing elite football for years to come. Love you guys, but coming for it all." That from current Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp earlier this week. This from Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero on NFL Network earlier today, just a couple rows down from where I am right now on Radio Row, talking about this current situation.
Big news that broke during the Insiders last night from Media Night, where I might add, I love having a good smoke machine in my face. I think that adds a lot of character to the show.
There's so many different ways I can go with that one.
Cooper Kupp, don't even start. Cooper Kupp announced on social media last night that the Rams have informed him they are immediately going to begin to conduct trade talks and move on from Kupp. Now, obviously, this is something that happened before the trade deadline last year, prior to the Rams turning around their season, but probably not a surprise for a 31-year-old player whose production has dipped that the Rams are looking to go this direction.
No, and it really did seem like the Rams were open or more than open to trading Cooper Kupp around the time of the trade deadline. A lot of people had a lot to say, and the fact that the Rams kind of turned it around, ended up marching to the playoffs, and Cooper Kupp was certainly a part of that, led them to pull back and say, you know what, not going to trade him during the season. Let's figure it out later. Clearly, they have figured it out now, and you're right. I mean, the fact that Cooper Kupp himself went public with them exploring trade talks means for sure this guy is likely getting traded. I would add, my understanding is the Rams are at least willing to eat some of the money, potentially paying down the $7.5 million signing bonus, which a lot of that is fully guaranteed for Kupp, maybe easing the burden on an acquiring team, maybe making a trade a little easier. Meanwhile, we also got some news earlier in the day on Myles Garrett. He also could likely, potentially, we'll see, be traded by the Cleveland Browns. He officially requested a trade from Cleveland, said so in a statement I obtained around 10 o'clock yesterday morning, and almost never, Tom, do you have a player this good in his prime be available. The Browns have said he is not available, but you know the teams are going to call. He has said in this statement he wants to be part of a Super Bowl contender, wants to make a run, clearly does not feel like the Browns are there. But could a trade actually happen is going to be one of the biggest questions of this offseason.
Myles Garrett's due about $45 million on the remaining 2 years of his contract. The Browns' intentions have been and continue to be to give Myles Garrett that contract extension in Cleveland, make him once again the highest paid defensive player in the NFL, and as Andrew Berry said recently, go straight from Cleveland to Canton. However, Myles Garrett in that statement said that's never been the goal. The goal has been to go and win a Super Bowl. Here you have a 29-year-old player at a position where you can play effectively into your mid-30s, but knowing I've got a limited amount of time to try and go win a Super Bowl. He does not have an interest in being part of what potentially could be a bit of a rebuilding year in Cleveland in 2025. And let's be clear, this is not about money. The Browns are willing to make it worth his while to stay in Cleveland. This is a guy who simply wants to continue playing his career elsewhere. We also...
All right, so that obviously the last part of that clip was more about Myles Garrett. We've discussed that a little bit on the Vault this week. You see the Cooper Kupp. As far we're having for the purpose of this conversation, it's all about Cooper Kupp. I don't think Myles Garrett to Baltimore is happening. Do I think that would be a needle-moving acquisition and one that would be wise, beyond wise? Yes. And do they have the draft capital to potentially lure the Cleveland Browns into that? And as I see Tom Pelissero of NFL Network walk by, who I've been trying to track down for hours here on Radio Row in the distance. So this is when I really need a producer, but what are you going to do? Bottom line is, to me, Myles Garrett to Baltimore is just so far-fetched. And what I would entertain more is the idea of Cooper Kupp. I'm not saying that'd be easy. You take a look at the current base salary that he's owed in 2025 and 2026, over $12 million next year and over $14 in 2026. That's a lot of money for an aging wide receiver who's been really banged up since his career year in 2021. Now, Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, you just noted, and here he is tweeting it. The Rams have been willing to eat money with an early payment of a roster bonus in the past. And he says he wouldn't be surprised to see the same for Cooper Kupp, who is far more attractive, a trade target, due $12.5 million rather than $20 million. Now, these are obviously numbers that the Ravens haven't exactly sniffed around on at the wide receiver position throughout their time. But the reality is, God forbid they're in a situation this time next year or January of next year without their number one wide receiver for whatever reason. Clearly, they were lacking depth. They needed to bolster that room. It's why they attempted to do so at the trade deadline with Deontay Johnson, which we all know how that ended up shaking out. But I think this is a room that could use a facelift. And I have all the respect in the world for a Tylan Wallace, and that's great if you want to re-sign him. But I think they need more firepower behind or competing with Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman. And I think Cooper Kupp could absolutely be an option. His 2021 season, albeit 4 years removed, was one for the ages, as Field Yates noted here. 22 touchdowns, 178 catches, over 2,400 receiving yards. He was the Offensive Player of the Year. He was the Super Bowl MVP. I mean, look at what he did in the postseason alone. 33 catches. That was the most in NFL history. 478 receiving yards. Second most ever in NFL history. 6 touchdowns, second most ever. And again, a Super Bowl MVP trophy to go along with it. So it was nothing short of an electric run. But unfortunately, the run that he's been on since is not exactly something to hold your hat on. And that has been a lack of availability. That has been consistent injuries. And the numbers show it and reflect it. In 2022, played in just 9 games. Finished with 75 receptions for 812 yards receiving. So the production was there, but again, he was only available for 9 games. 2023, 59 receptions for 737 receiving yards, just 12 games. And 2024, 12 games, 710 receiving yards on 67 receptions. So, look, what's wild about it is, yeah, the production, especially when you compare it to the all-world year that he had in 2021, the production, while it's taken a hit, based on that volume, the numbers have actually been pretty productive. I mean, he's still averaging, let me make sure I get this right, look at this, yards per reception the last 3 seasons hasn't gone below 10. 10.8 on average in 22, 12.5 in 23, and over 10 this past season. Now, again, has not been available enough, and that is something that the Ravens are going to have to consider. But wouldn't this be the quintessential Ravens wide receiver signing? He's on the other side of 30. He's been banged up. But much like Steve Smith Sr. and Anquan Bolden, decorated careers prior to coming to Baltimore, and maybe, just maybe this is something that they feel like would give them the depth that they need to get them over the top. I see a lot of no's in the live chat, and I get it. The lack of availability is something that I totally get why you guys would have reservations. I do. But I also know what the Ravens were lacking in January this year. And while they absolutely should have booked their ticket, or at least should have had a great shot of booking their ticket to the AFC Championship game, if it weren't for the lack of execution, they weren't in a position, assuming that Zay wasn't going to be 100% for that AFC Championship game in Kansas City. Now, he probably would have tried to return, I would think, and have gutted his way through it. And while a non-100% Zay Flowers is better than not having him at all, both he and Bateman were banged up when they needed him most. And I think they told you back in November what they felt about their wide receiver room. And we all know what those feelings were. It screamed without actually screaming. We need more depth. We can talk all we want about Devontae Walker, and I know you guys will continue to do so. But Devontae Walker was not a pro-ready player, which is why he was deactivated for the majority of his rookie season. He flashed with that touchdown in the Giants game, had some special teams moments, but he's not a player that you want to sit here in February, early February, and say to yourself, this dude's primed for a big-time developmental year. I don't believe he is that. I would happily be proven wrong on that, but I don't believe he is. Tylan Wallace is obviously somebody they got to make a decision on as a pending free agent. And I made the decision to work with the Valentino Hotel Group this week. And as a result, I am staying in the heart of the French Quarter here, my first time in New Orleans, Louisiana. What an awesome city this is, and I've barely even seen it during daylight because I've been in this convention center all day long creating content. Now, the hotel group, there's plenty to choose from. I'm right here on Decatur Street, again in the heart of the French Market, and the Valentino Hotel Group wanted to send you guys a message as we gear up for Super Bowl and everything that comes with Super Bowl week. I have found the perfect home base at the French Market Inn, located again right in the heart of the French Quarter. This place isn't just about comfort. It's about experiencing real New Orleans charm with the city's best restaurants and attractions right outside your door. Matter of fact, I just matched with a girl on Hinge who says her favorite place is within walking distance to the front door of my hotel. It's called Felipe's. And maybe, just maybe, she and I are going to be going to check that out at some point this week. The French Market Inn is just one of 7 unique properties out by the Valentino Hotel Group, a family-owned legacy that has welcomed visitors for over 60 years. Each hotel offers a unique slice of New Orleans charm, making them some of the most popular spots in the city. Consistently rated in the top 20, and it's not just hotels. They operate 3 must-visit restaurants and 2 sightseeing services essential for any New Orleans itinerary. With the next generation of 52 family members, including 14 who work daily in the operations, they provide a personal touch that keeps guests coming back. Whether you're visiting New Orleans for a game to indulge in the incredible cuisine or maybe soak up some live music, the Valentino Hotel Group promises a memorable stay. From their humble beginnings with a 19-room motel to now 500-plus guest rooms across 7 hotels, their deep roots in the community enrich every visitor's experience. You can dive into an authentic NOLA experience at one of their family-owned properties. Plan your stay today at ValentinoHotels.com and save 10% at checkout with promo code BobbyT. Again, that is promo code BobbyT, BOBBYT. And as you can see, the guest reviews through the roof. I'll be leaving one based on my first of many nights last night. You guys can go check out my Instagram story for more behind-the-scenes details. But, man, it really does have charm, and I'm loving everything about this city. And I want to say thank you to the Valentino Hotel Group and the French Market Inn for making this possible. You can go learn more by clicking on the link that I have included as a pinned comment right now in the live chat. It's also at the top of the show notes. Well, the guest lines are rolling, as promised. I wanted to make sure I get some voices in here because, let's be honest, it's been quiet on this channel. I should have hired some of you to keep my channel running for the last couple of weeks because there was just no way that I was keeping 2 up and running simultaneously between the Vault and Bobby Baltimore while I was down and out. Without Sarah, we wouldn't have had anything on the Vault. So, again, my apologies. My apologies for the last couple of weeks here. It's driving me nuts not being able to, bring you what I committed to, year round. So I appreciate your patience. And with that, let's open up the guest lines. If you guys want to call in, share a thought on Cooper Kupp, share a thought on the start to offseason, share a thought on some of these things that we've discussed this week related to Myles Garrett or whatever it might be, please do so. And first and foremost, we'll go down to Dre. What's up, Dre Dog? Good to see you, brother.
What up, man? Can you hear me okay?
You know it.
Yeah, man. I'm glad to see you back amongst the living. And, I kept you lifted in prayer, bro. I'm glad you bounced back. And don't apologize for not being here for us because we want you well, bro. I keep telling you, we got love for you, man. So we just want you to be the best Bobby you can be. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate you, man. It was scary, to be honest with you, not to be dramatic. It was scary at times. I just didn't know when the heck I was going to get on the other side of this. And as you can hear, Squidward is still kind of hanging around in my sinuses, messing around with things. But I appreciate you, Dre.
Yeah. So as far as the Myles Garrett trade, we know that that's going to be something that's going to be a tough push, especially being in division. I would love to see the Ravens kick the tires on Max Crosby, see what they can do with those 11 draft picks to see if they could pry him away from out west. And as far as the wide receiver, so for me, I don't really need the Ravens. I just want the Ravens to grab a wide receiver that's complementary with Zay and Bate, right? I do, like I said earlier, I believe that Bateman still should have to compete to keep his second, his number 2 slot on the team as far as wide receiver. I think they should bring in a guy that will push the other guys there, including Devontae, right? Put a guy in there that Devontae can even be like, okay, I thought this was my opportunity because Tylen's probably gone, or, other wide receivers are probably out of there. Devontae is like, all right, I was the next guy up for the number 3 spot. Why you bring somebody else in? So open up that room for not only depth, but also for competition at that wide receiver spot.
You were definitely cracking me up earlier. You inspired a whole conversation with Rashad Bateman and the coddling side of things, and how you're obviously feel traumatized from past years watching this organization attempt to develop wide receivers. Would love to give you an opportunity to expand more on those comments, but I'll just say this. In recent years, obviously, very recent years.
1 year.
Not yeah, well, two for Zay, because I thought Zay's rookie season was one, certainly not to scoff at. But, and I think, honestly, a lot of this had to do with Keith Williams. Now, he's no longer there. He's actually here. He's in New Orleans. And I remember talking to Todd Monken not long after he was plucked by the Saints. And this was a wide receiver guru for the Ravens. And I think he really kind of set the tone for this next generation of players, even though he only spent 1 year with Zay. I think that was a foundation kind of year that got Zay fully involved at the NFL level and what those expectations were. And while he wasn't around this year, to me, that was a big loss. Now, moving forward, can Bateman build off of 700-plus receiving yards and 9 touchdowns, both of which are career highs? Where I lost you earlier was I was so receptive to the coddling feedback this time last year. After watching what Rashad put forth this year, even though he was on the wrong end of some of those interceptions with Lamar, even though there weren't many of them, to me, I feel like he's earned the right not to necessarily be given number 2 status going into 2025, because I'm with you there. I want somebody in there that's pushing him, because competition obviously breeds excellence. But I do believe that he's earned the respect of this fan base after what he put forth this year, albeit a few years too late.
Yeah. And we got to remember, too, Rashad Bateman was a first-round draft pick. So the return on Rashad Bateman, he's still in the negative, right? Rashad is still trying to work out of the negative just so he can become par. So for me personally, 1 season doesn't make him par. He had a good, healthy last season, the prior year, came back this year, was healthy again. So that was 2 check marks, right? And then we got a little bit more production this year as well. So in other words, he took what Odell Beckham did for us and he became that guy, right? And great. But I by no way feel like it's still enough to we need a guy on this in this wide receiver room that is going to be able to compete 50-50 balls thrown in the air, pause. Like, we got to have a guy that's going to be able to go up and get it at some point. Like I harken back to, what we saw when Davante Adams played against the Ravens. They literally said, screw running the ball. We're going to throw the ball to Davante Adams. If you stop it, then we'll do something different. And they were not able to stop it. We see multiple teams, like we look at what the Commanders have built for their young pass thrower in Jaden. We look at the Texans. They got enough wide receivers that they can trade dudes away, or they can take a Nico Collins getting hurt and be able to be okay. Look at the Browns. They had a guy, they was like, all right, go ahead, Bills. You can take this guy because we got another guy that's going to go. Even Dak Prescott got a number 1 wide out. You get what I'm saying? Like, all of these guys around the league, and the example people will give is say, well, what about Patrick Mahomes. Everybody seems to forget that Tyreek Hill was there. Like, why do people forget that Tyreek was a part of those early Super Bowls? Like, why don't people remember that? So the Ravens have to, in my opinion, to get to the next level, we got to get a true somebody that's going to be able to win the 50-50 ball. Not a tight end, not, none of that. We need a wide receiver that's going to do that for us. And speaking of that real quick, and I'll let you go however you want to go, but Devontae Adams, isn't he a free agent this year?
Devontae, his deal, I got to look at that, but I think it was just one and done with the Jets, wasn't it?
Yeah. And if that's the case, that's who not Cooper Kupp. We got Zay to do what Cooper Kupp does. We don't need that replicated. Now, granted, Cooper Kupp's 6'1", 6'2". He's a bigger body, but he doesn't play above the rim, so to speak. He doesn't play that way. He plays akin more to Zay. So we already got that prototype on the team. I would say a guy like Devontae Adams, why not? Why not? You don't have to give up no draft picks for him. He's a veteran. You know what he's gonna do. He's 32 years old. He's he would be that Steve Smith type of wide receiver, I think, if he could get with Lamar in this wide receiver group.
You've been consistent for as long as I've known you about the prototypical wide receiver and not having seen what that could look like in the Lamar era. The reality is nobody on here talk back to me and say it's Dez Bryant, okay? There has not been one wide receiver that has been a key piece to Lamar Jackson's offense since he came in Baltimore that qualifies as a big body, 50-50 winning, contested catch guy that you are asking for. I hear you. I'm with you. I don't know if the Ravens are going to go get it. I don't have confidence that whether it be through free agency or via the draft, that they feel like that's the player that's going to get them over the top. And to be quite honest with you, had they stayed healthy and had they executed, which are obviously two big ifs, I think they could have gotten there without that kind of player this year. I do. Yeah. And so part of me thinks that I don't want to sit here and trash them for not being open or receptive to that idea when clearly they've been to an AFC championship without that player, and they've been, essentially a 2-point conversion away from having a chance at overtime to go back-to-back years in the AFC championship game to go up against Kansas City. But at the same time, I don't know what having that presence would do throughout the course of a 17-game, 18-week season.
I just want to see it.
It might put it over the top.
I just want to see it. That's all I'm asking. I just want to see it. I just want to see it, man. I want to see it for Lamar. I think it would really do great things. But I think, like I said, wide receiver, and I really think they should kick the tires on Max Crosby, man. See what's going on out there. See if they can make something happen for him. Because him and Odafe Owe and the guys we got up front, man, I think that would be a defensive move that he might not be on Myles Garrett level, but he ain't too far off on the Ravens defense, mind you. Especially what we did the second or that last quarter of the year. Man, if we come out like that and we throw in a guy like Max Crosby, my God, like the defense would be lights out.
Davon Barnes checking in with a super chat along these lines. He says, I think Kupp is worth the tire check, don't you? And I agree on the Max Crosby take, which is what you're getting at here, Dre.
Yeah, no. Kupp is not for me. And the Ravens don't have a good history with veteran injured wide receivers. Remember that caveat. Veteran injured wide receivers. And the Ravens don't mix.
Yeah, he says he's healthy. You don't believe him?
Look at what we've been seeing. Healthy for how many games? 9 games? 7 games?
The production's never wavered. It's just about volume and it's about availability. Mm-hmm. Dreams is checking in here with an early look at April, and he says, hey, draft Jaden Higgins. He'd be perfect. Jaden not somebody I've studied. I did look up. He began his college career at Eastern Kentucky, transferred to Iowa State, 6'3", 217. So he would fit the prototype, the measurables of what you're calling for. But I'd be lying if I said I studied his tape. It's still February, and obviously there's a lot to do between now and April. So time will tell. Dre, it's great to see you, brother. Safe travels, and I look forward to doing this again soon.
Y'all be safe.
Later, man. Dre Dog, live from the ATL, if I'm not mistaken. This guy's going to be mad with me. I would think he's going to be mad at me for our next guest here because he expects of himself daily appearances on this show. And when he goes 2+ weeks in the dead of off season, I can't imagine he's very pleased. But we will be going down in Mexico City or perhaps Houston or perhaps wherever the hell he is right now. I don't know. Maybe he's in New Orleans looking for me. Wants a double date maybe. I don't know. Look, I'm going to tell you this before I bring on Manny here. All right. I got to tell you this. I think you guys will get a good kick out of it. And I'm shamelessly going about this one, unapologetically going about this one. How about this? My hinge is popping off right now. All right. There are so many eligible women in the New Orleans area that I might just move here. And what a perfect time for you to come around the corner.
Is it?
Yeah, I was just talking about the New Orleans women.
Bobby loves them big. Oh,
You
are we on air?
Yeah, why the heck not?
I lied.
Manny, I'm sorry. I just got intersected.
He loves skinny women.
Stand by, Manny. I'm sorry.
Can I plug in my Apple Watch real quick, actually, before I forget?
Do what you got to do.
All right, hold on.
You know what? That'll give us a chance to bring on Manny.
Beautiful.
What's going on, brother?
Nothing. Hey, you might just find a new home.
I think it was probably the right timing for all this to happen before I started oversharing again. You know.
Hey, just like the song, you like big butts and you cannot lie.
On that note, I'm sorry. You know how things go here on Radio Row. People come and go, but I promised I'd have Jake on. So, can you give me a condensed? I know we have 2 weeks worth of stuff to catch up on, and we will throughout the week. I'll get you more time in the coming days. But can you condense your thought here in 60 seconds or less, and then I'll get Jake in?
Watch how EDC does nothing. That's the reality. Because either I just looked up Davante Adams because of Dre. His contract is not up until 2026. So on that front, it's like you got to negotiate the Jets taking the brunt because it's a huge amount of money for Adams.
Oh, okay. So Davante's so he's under contract for the foreseeable future in New York, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, actually, that'll be that. This is good that Jake's here now because we're talking about Davante Adams. A lot of people feel like the Ravens are in the market for a big body wide receiver. And somebody mentioned Davante Adams. We're talking about Cooper Kupp right now and his availability after the trade that is apparently imminent. So can you just get us up to speed on Davante's imminent future? What's going on there?
I think Davante's future is tied to Aaron Rodgers' future. If Aaron's back with the Jets, I think Davante is. I think if Aaron retires or the Jets move on, I think Davante's going to try and play wherever Aaron goes. Or if Aaron just retires, I think Davante's going to try and go to a team like the Ravens that has the best chance to win a championship.
But if Aaron ends up becoming the bridge to the next quarterback,
I think he's back with the Jets. Yeah,
stay.
I do. I think they're a package deal.
Under the current contract?
He would have to redo his contract. So Davante Adams is owed like $35 million, which is the highest non-quarterback cap hit in the NFL next season. So he'll never see that. They're either going to cut him or come to terms on a rework deal, which I believe is contingent on what they do with Aaron Rodgers first.
Okay. Well, there you have it, Manny. Our Jets expert has showed up at the perfect time. Manny meet Jake. Jake beat Manny.
Manny.
So what else you got for us before we get you out of here?
It's just what I said at the beginning. Watch EDC done nothing because we really don't have the cap space to get a big body wide receiver or maybe a Max Crosby by that end because Myles Garrett, even though he might get traded, but Cleveland is not going to trade it to Baltimore. It's like that would be the perfect revenge for Myles, but it's not. It's not going to happen. And until we figure out the cap space, we're tied. So we just got to wait and see if they redo Rose and Lamar's contract in order for them to actually have some wiggle room to just bring either one player from free agency or two players, and that will be it of splash for the Ravens on the free agency part. And that's until the draft. And if you want to sacrifice draft capital to get a third one or even the second one, be my guest. I'm all up for it.
Yeah, what about adopting that mindset? F them picks. Come on, Eric DeCosta, wouldn't he adopt that mindset? I don't think
that
so.
feels very un-Raven-like.
I don't think so. Yeah, exactly. They covet those things like they're stocks. So, Manny, I appreciate you, brother. I owe you more airtime, which we will try to get to throughout this week. And by the way, he refers to himself. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, since you're outside the Baltimore scene, but this is actually the future interim head coach of the Baltimore Ravens right here.
Why would they fire the current head coach?
You have to talk to the interim about that. I don't.
You don't like Harbaugh, Manny? What's your issue with him? The guy wins every year. Try being a Jet fan.
No, I don't like him because his mentality.
You want Robert Saleh?
It's not.
Want Adam Gase?
No.
Todd Bowles? Jeff Ulbrich?
Hey,
Can you tell my man scarred over here?
I know.
You sound like the Steelers fans that don't like Tom.
Hey.
Don't even get me started with that.
I like your head coach that lasted for what, a week? Bill Belichick?
A week. He was a head coach for a day. He resigned on a napkin.
That is awesome.
Why are you bringing up Belichick, Manny? What'd I do to you? Jeez.
Hey.
This guy, man, he's been through the ringer, Manny. And now we're about to talk Jets and Ravens. So we'll catch up with you soon, brother. Appreciate you.
Two model franchises in the National Football League.
See you, dude. Oh, yeah, he's a good sport. But I like that you're here because there can be a little bit of the indirect spoil nature that comes in when you get used to winning but not winning at all.
Right.
And I think that's where the Ravens are. They're in this weird era of being so incredibly dominant. MV3 is on deck coming up on Thursday night, I would think, for Lamar. But yet they have not, much like many other AFC teams, they have not been able to get through what was once their kryptonite in the Kansas City Chiefs.
I get the frustration. It's tough. Like the team I root for has been so bad. It's like I never have to worry about losing to the Chiefs because we'll never get the opportunity to lose to them in any big game. Whereas you guys get the opportunity to play them in big games. Yeah. You can't get it done. I mean, this year the Bills. I mean, that game was just right there for the taking. I guess that's what's so frustrating. I rooted for the Ravens. I was hoping that your team would be here this weekend because I hate the Bills. I don't like the Chiefs. So the Ravens were the team I was rooting for. That's for sure.
This week would have looked a little bit different if they were here. But let me give you the proper introduction just because the channel's grown a little bit since the last time I had you on. But Jake Asmin covers the New York Jets.
Even if it didn't grow, you think anyone would remember me from a year ago?
I
No
mean,
way.
Look.
Nobody.
The only reason I am on Radio Row, okay, let me make sure you don't have to swallow your pride on this one, is because of this man. We were interns together at the 2016 Rio Olympics for NBC. I was with the Today Show. He was with NBC Sports, and we've been buddies ever since. Ithaca's finest, works for ESPN New York. Mad Dog Sports Radio, and of course, the owner and host of the Jake Asmin Show, 40,000+ subscriptions strong, focusing on the Jets. Got your career started in Houston in the radio scene, and now here we are chilling in New Orleans, Louisiana. Right before you walked up, as much as I want to talk about football, I was letting everybody know just how much I've been cooking on Hinge. And I got to wonder, are you going to be joining me on some of these double dates that are coming up? Because there are a couple people that want to meet up in groups. Really? I haven't had a chance to catch up with you yet because you've been ripping through interviews, including Mad Dog, former Jets GM candidate Thomas Dimitroff, who used to be the GM for the Atlanta Falcons.
Correct. Yep.
And several others, including Jalen Hyatt, who's a New York Giants wide receiver. So anyway, now publicly asking you, are you going to be game if we have an opportunity to meet up in groups with women here in the coming days?
I mean, is water wet? What else am I doing all week, right? I mean, I'm here to talk about sports, talk about two teams that aren't in this game that I root for, or I guess two teams in the game, neither of which I root for. Honestly, by the way, I hate the Eagles. I don't like the Chiefs.
Yeah.
What a brutal Super Bowl. But anyway, I'm in. I'm going. Are they coming to the media party tonight? Did you invite them?
So Thursday.
You need me to get them into that too, as
possibly.
well. I got to file a what is it? It's a credential pass, day pass for your Hinge stage.
Oh man, that technology was something else too. Jake put it all together for me and made sure that I was his guest. And sure enough, I walk up to the freaking screen today, and you haven't even got and looked into it. Bang! Robert Trosset pulls up right up on that screen.
Hey, you're good with. You might not be good with the Ravens necessarily, as they try and come after you for nonsense. But the NFL seems to like you. I mean, your face went on that screen and you got right in.
I don't know if NFL legal likes me though.
You know what?
NFL IT likes me.
They might fear you, but they respect you.
Well, we're trying to build this thing. We're trying to build this thing. What have your impressions been of Radio Row Day 2 for you? This is day 1 for me.
Yeah, it's a great setup this year. Honestly, I think the NFL did a great job. This convention center might be the biggest convention center of any of the ones I've done the show from. This is my 6th Radio Row. We can't even count the Minnesota one because that was in a food court at the Mall of America.
Oh my God!
But of all the other ones, this feels like the biggest. I mean, just this table alone, Bobby. I mean, it's 2 tables combined. Last year, I think we only had 1. So it just feels like there's more space in between the tables as well. So I think they did a nice job. I still can't get over some of these like extravagant sets for the different outlets, including Bounty being here with like a mansion that's bigger than like my apartment.
Oh, this thing is incredible, and I believe Kyle Hamilton and Kyle Van Noy are going to be doing at least a day's worth of sponsorships with Bounty. So we hope to track them down.
I don't even know what it is. I know they have like the quarterback challenge thing in front of us to the left. They're serving wings over there to the right. But like, what's up top there that they do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Player-centric private stuff. No clue, but it's one of the many setups that's very extravagant, including FanDuel, where Kay Adams will be over here. McAfee off to our right for ESPN. So tomorrow is really when it's going to start to get out of control here inside this convention center. But you had a chance to catch up with Thomas Dimitroff. And we mentioned he's the former Falcons general manager. I want to kind of tie this into the Ravens here, and here's how I'm going to do it. He was one of the candidates. They went in a different direction for GM this year, did the Jets. And the reason why is because they parted ways with the former Ravens staffer in Joe Douglas. What happened at the end of the Joe Douglas era, and how did that decision be made?
30-64. He didn't win enough. He put together. I even if you make fun of the Jets, the one thing you can't say about their team is that they don't have talent. They do, and that's what made this year so frustrating. But ultimately, Joe Douglas did a lot of good. Like he did. He drafted a lot of good players. There was just too much bad. Too many big decisions he ultimately got wrong, whether it be drafting Zach Wilson 2nd overall, hiring Robert Saleh, drafting Mekhi Becton over Tristan Wirfs to be left tackle. You just go through the major decisions he had to make. They weren't good enough. Countless free agent signings that didn't work out. Signing, veterans who were washed like Dalvin Cook a year ago or Tyron Smith this year, Mike Williams. Ultimately, the big decisions he had to make, he didn't hit on, and that cost him his job. When you go 30-64, you can't say he didn't get a fair shake. He was in year 6 of a 6-year deal when they fired him.
So he was directly involved in the Saleh hiring.
That was his hire. He was so he got here when Adam Gase was the coach. Gase hired Douglas because Gase won a power struggle with Mike McCagnon, who was the previous GM. Even just saying the words Adam Gase won a power struggle pains me as a Jet fan, but this is what I deal with. And look, when Douglas first got hired, he came in with a sterling reputation from the Ravens to the Eagles. No one had a bad thing to say about Joe. It didn't work. He didn't win enough. Ultimately, like he put together some good rosters, but they weren't good teams, and that's part of being a GM. You got to win games.
How did things work out this year with 2 former Ravens, John Simpson and Morgan Moses, on the line?
Let me tell you something. John Simpson was probably one of the best moves Joe Douglas ever made, and it's ironic because now the next GM of the Jets, Darren Muji, he inherits an offensive line that for the first time is actually stabilized. Like the Jets had a decent O-line this year. 4 of their 5 starters are under contract for next year, and Simpson might have been the best value signing in the NFL this past year. He was a phenomenal. Like, I kid you not, when the Jets signed him, I'm like, okay, I texted you about him. Like, give me the breakdown.
I didn't have much for you.
It was like, he was solid. He's on a really good line.
But he resurrected his career. That year in Baltimore.
No, he was sensational. Honestly, he was one of the best moves the Jets made this past year. And look, how do you not love Morgan Moses? I mean, the guy's playing with like one arm.
Was he banged up again this year?
The entire season, and he didn't miss time. It's just the guy's a warrior. If he wants to come back to the Jets, I'd offer him a 1-year deal and then draft someone behind him that could eventually take over. But I mean, those 2 guys were great. I just wish they won more games because honestly, the 2 of the moves that Joe Douglas made that did work were 2 of the former Ravens on the offensive line that the Jets brought in.
Okay, so 4 of the 5 are under contract for
Morgan Moses is
2025.
not one of them.
Morgan not being
is.
one of them.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'd bring him back, and then you'd have the same 5 offensive linemen because you have a pretty good line. You have Olu Fashanu, their first-round pick, who's now at left tackle. He looked good once he took over for the injured/washed Tyron Smith. Simpson at left guard. Joe Tippman's their second-year center, who was a second-round pick who had a really good sophomore season. And Elijah Vera-Tucker's a former first-round guy. He's really good at right guard. So they have talent. It's why it's like, how could you win 5 games with these players? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. From what you've gathered with all these interviews that you're putting together, do you believe that Aaron will be the bridge for at least the next year?
People I talk to are very split on it. I think personally he should, because I think the perception of Aaron Rodgers is that he's washed. But then you actually watch the games and realize, wait a second.
This couldn't be farther from the truth.
He threw 28 touchdowns and almost 4,000 yards, and the Jets led the NFL in fourth quarter blown leads. Like, you can't get the lead in the fourth quarter if you're getting blown out. Like, they were in every game. They were just poorly coached. Their kicker, Greg Zuerlein, probably cost them conservatively 2 or 3 games at the bare minimum. The defense had the lead late, and I could name you 4 games where Aaron and the offense gave them the lead, and then the defense, which was supposed to be the strength of the team, completely folded like a cheap suit. So is Aaron what he once was? No, but he's also 41 coming off the Achilles, and he played every game, and his teammates, despite what the media will tell you, love the guy. So if he wants to come back for one more year as the bridge, and maybe they draft someone, or there's someone that sits behind him, or someone that sits behind them this year, or they take their big swing in 2026. That to me is the most logical move, because I just don't see the other option out there at quarterback that is better than what Aaron Rodgers still is at the stage of his career.
That's the thing. You're not bringing Darnold back. It's like egg on your face.
Nope.
Right? Kirk, you'd take Aaron over Kirk, and Tyrod obviously wouldn't be the answer.
If you guaranteed me 17 games of health for Tyrod Taylor, I'd say, okay, you know what? Fine. He's competent. He could run the offense. The guy is made of glass. And I like Tyrod. He's the perfect backup, right? If you need, my definition of a good backup quarterback is if that guy has to start 4 games, can you go at least 2-2? If he has to start 3 games, can you go 2-1? I think with Tyrod, the answer is yes, you can. You cannot start Tyrod Taylor expecting him to make it through 17 games. It's not happening. Yeah. He never makes it through a full season. Any chance he's had the opportunity to be a full-time starter.
Well, especially when, team staffers, team doctors are is it puncturing a lung? Was that what happened?
Yeah. I was in Houston
with the Chargers.
Then he was in Houston, where I was doing radio down there at the time. He got hurt that season. I was at the game Jets-Giants when he took over for an injured Daniel Jones. He comes in, first quarter, gets sacked, basically out for the next 8 weeks after that. Tommy DeVito comes in and DeVito mania started. I was at that game. Like, it's a shame because the guy's a competent quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's solid, but he can't stay healthy.
And come to think, it all started in Baltimore.
That's right. And Sexy Rexy, our guy, Ravens DC legend,
How about
Buffalo.
That?
Yep.
How about that? One of my favorite all-time exchanges with Rex Ryan, and I'm pretty sure I screenshot it to you, was within the last year or so. I said, I got Rex's number somehow, tracked it down, and I sent him a nice, polite message explaining who I was and what I wanted, which was, him to come on for a brief time with Sarah and I, and, we got a lot of respect for you, blah, blah, blah. Are you interested? It was the last line. He gave me one line back. No. and as much as you can take that personally, you can't with Rex. He is as old school as it gets. He's been frozen out of the head coaching cycle.
That's right.
I heard you with Brian Costello earlier, who's a Jets beat reporter. He feels like he's worthy of a potential defensive coordinator opening at points.
I agree.
You think he's done, or is it going to be? Is it TV for the rest of the way, or is he done?
I think Rex Ryan is probably done as far as ever being a head coach again. However, if he does want to get back in, his only way to do it is to be a DC first. Dominate as a DC, and you might get another opportunity. No one's hiring Rex to be a head coach. The only team that would have maybe done it would have been the Jets, and they obviously hired Aaron Glenn instead. So, Rex hasn't coached in 9 years, and he hasn't had success as a head coach, if you think about it, since 14 years ago, as far as big success. He had a couple 8-8s after that 2010 AFC championship run for the second year in a row. So it's been a while. I love the guy personally. He's nice enough to come on the radio when I filled in on our morning show on ESPN New York.
So that's the way to get him on, huh?
Yeah, but
a paid spot.
But you want to know something? I texted him after because I had his number because of you, and he got right back to me.
What'd he say?
He's like, I appreciate you having me on, Jake.
After he's been paid. Yes.
Then I go, Rex, you should go on with Bobby Baltimore. We'll send you feed pics. I know how much you love that.
We're gonna have to find a way to get some checks here for guest checks. That's what I think we're gonna have to look into that.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You're a Ravens show predominantly.
Yeah.
Why is there blue in the Bobby Baltimore? Shouldn't it be purple?
Now where are you looking here?
Like over here, like this being blue. Like shouldn't that be purple?
You know, that is something you're gonna have to take up with StreamYard.
I could do it right now. You ready?
You know,
you go to style, and you hit this, and then we just find the purple option.
Let's see
somewhere
live. It's somewhere in there.
Yeah, watch the little purple.
All right.
Ravens purple.
Watch, I get docked by the NFL for purple colors.
I'm just going to show you what it looks like with a little bubble. Look at that.
Send my ass packing home from early Radio Row.
That's purple. You tell
me.
Look
at this. Okay.
You want a little darker? Ravens have a darker purple.
Well, right chat, live chat. What say you?
Now, you can actually put in whatever like their color code is right
Look
there.
Look at this.
There, that looks like Ravens colors right there. Are you a classic guy? Are you a minimal?
What do we like?
Block?
I kind of like that minimal. Oh, no. How about block?
Block guy?
What do you like?
I just feel like we're missing the purple. You talk Ravens more than anyone.
Yeah. This is good. And see, you guys are getting a front row experience now to how and here's Ian Rappaport over here. We should probably snag him at some point.
Where's Rodgers going?
And how about the suit too? He and I met at Preakness a couple summers ago. Dude loves horse racing.
He does.
Big horse racing guy. So anyway. All right, Jake Asmin. Appreciate you, brother. Enjoy it. And plug what you got coming up the next few days.
A lot of interviews. We're going to be joined by Ray Lewis tomorrow. Ed Reed is coming on.
Wait, excuse me?
I have Brian Billick coming on.
Are you fucking with me?
I have the hologram of Tony Saragusa coming on.
Here's the worst part. I can't even tell if he's knowing your guest list. And I'm talking to Jake's producer extraordinaire, Cole Thompson, a.k.a. my roommate for the next few days. Really, roommates. And I can't tell. They have a very robust guest list.
Joe Flacco.
All right, now I'm getting.
I feel like maybe I should host a Ravens show. Look at all these Ravens guests I have coming on the
ripping
channel.
them all up.
Should I share some of those guys with you?
It's gonna be a tough pill to swallow if I'm sitting here and Ray is posted up over here. I don't believe he's gonna be in.
Speaking of Ray, I have Ray Rice on as well.
Ray Rice.
I got basically every great Raven.
New JV football coach in Baltimore.
Is he really?
Yes, high school.
The pride of Rutgers, Ray Rice.
There you go.
That's all he's known for, obviously.
And as a New York, New Jersey guy, you know all about.
I was going to make a joke about your guys' kicker, but I'll wait. I had to go through Deshaun Watson in Houston, so I know all about those type of jokes.
It's still too early. Yeah, I think it's too early for this fan base, especially seeing it out over the weekend. They're up to 9 massage therapists.
It just dude, this is Deshaun to a T. Yeah. It just every day we'd be on the radio, and it was more. It's unbelievable.
Well, that's really interesting you say that because I kind of alluded to it earlier in the week to the Deshaun, right? Like the period of time where these allegations have come from is a 4-year period. His rookie season, 2012 to 2016. Will these 9 inspire others that could potentially have happened outside of those years?
That's what happened with Deshaun.
Which is exactly what happened with Watson.
Yep.
So
it's a terrible situation.
It is.
It stinks.
It is. And I get
I don't think you're going to get 3 first-round picks from them, like the Texans were able to swindle from the Browns.
I don't think so either. And I also don't think this is anywhere near over either. So, especially as the new league year approaches, maybe that's a sticking point for the Ravens when it comes to his future. But all right, my friend, appreciate the opportunity to be here. Media party tonight.
The hinge dates will be there.
Potentially, we haven't had to smuggle them in, and it will be a double date for the ages at some point this week. I look forward to it.
Can't wait.
One girl in particular, I think we can maybe divulge here. Katie from North Carolina.
Ooh.
Works for a hotel group here in town. Just moved. 25. Brunette. Athletic looking. Has a photo of the New Orleans Saints Drew Brees Super Bowl championship trophy in her hands. Don't know how she got that access. 25 is a key piece here because I want a big family. And if I'm talking to somebody my age, they might feel a little bit more rushed. That's my number one priority.
You say you want a big family. How many kids you eyeing here?
I want what I know. I'm the oldest of 4.
You want 4 kids?
Yeah,
4.
Absolutely.
You gotta get a lot of super chats to afford 4
godfather
kids.
One of those mother effers.
Damn. Hey, everyone should be super chatting Bobby Baltimore. The guy's got 4 kids to put through college eventually. Come on now.
Oh God. Grant Paulson from Washington D.C. over here. 106.7 The Fans finest.
One of my favorite bits that I'm going to start doing tomorrow when it gets crazy is I'm just going to take like a microphone like this right here. You have headsets, so it's a little harder to do.
Yes.
But I'm going to. I've thought about doing this the whole week.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a microphone right here, right? I'm going to go up against the fence right there and just do like man on the street interviews. Like, just
why not? I mean, at this point, we might as well
just be like, so and so's here. Like I think it's gonna be great.
The access here is unprecedented. So, by the way, you got people that are asking for more collabs with you. So it looks like we're gonna be doing it again this week.
Well, do the Jets play the Ravens this year? I think they do, right? There's a
anybody got the 2025 schedule out there with opponents?
I think the Jets play the AFC North this year. So I think we'll get Ravens Jets. So
meaning it'll be in Baltimore this year, if I'm not mistaken, because last time it was in New York.
Sounds right. Yeah,
it was Joe versus Lamar.
Horrible. That game was so bad.
Yep.
So bad.
None of us will forget that. Joe versus Lamar.
I wish I could.
Jake Asmin from the Jake Asmin YouTube channel. Go hit him up, guys. Buddies for a while. Opens up opportunity after opportunity for me year after year.
Combine's next, people. Get ready for Bobby.
And maybe, just maybe, we'll be making our debut at the Indianapolis NFL Combine coming up later this month.
Oh, you will love Indy. Let me tell you. The shrimp cocktail, you're gonna be in tears from how spicy that thing is.
I love it. And live chat is confirming what we already know, and that is the Jets and Ravens who are on the regular season schedule.
Hey, congrats on the win in advance.
All right. I'm gonna go wrap this up, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Jake Asmin. Check him out. I am a Jake Asmin show assistant. Matter of fact, this week, if you check my credentials. But that was fun. Good stuff, guys. I appreciate you for being here. It's great to be back in live form. Thank you for the love that you've given me on this live stream. We have so many guests that are potentially in play for the next several days. I've had preliminary conversations with Mike Florio, Josina Anderson, Kurt Warner. I emailed Kyle Van Noy, hoping to track him down, Mike Golick. So I'm hoping that a couple of those end up coming through. And if they do, well, you guys will hopefully be the beneficiary of that. So special thank you to the French Market Inn and the Valentino Hotel Group for the support that they're providing me this week, putting me up at the French Market Inn. It's been a tremendous experience, an awesome first taste of New Orleans in a number of ways, and I look forward to the next several nights of accommodation there, right in the heart of the French Quarter. You can learn more by visiting the show notes, as I mentioned at the top. And again, you can plan your next stay at ValentinoHotels.com. Save 10% with the promo code BobbyT. That is BOBBYT. It's a pinned comment. It's also in the show notes as well. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to Dre Dog. Thanks to Manny. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. And Tila, we've got over 500 concurrents between YouTube and Twitter right now. I'm glad to be back. I want to say thank you once more for the patience over the last couple of weeks. There's not been a lot of content to go around on this channel. That will change throughout the course of this week, and that is a promise. Thank you guys. Have an awesome night. We'll catch up tomorrow. Later from the Big Easy.